raise trade just yet. Sit down and strap in for the ultimate Supercoach podcast. It's time to win your leagues and dominate your mates. This is the Dual Position Podcast, hosted by Whisperer and SCAdrianasaurus.
With the power of editing, we're in the same clothes because these all get pre-recorded. We're talking about the
I've got many Canberra Raiders shirts. I'm just
you just rotate them. I don't have the same Notorious B.I.G. shirt, unfortunately. We're talking about the North Queensland Cowboys, probably the biggest Cinderella story from last year. Really surprised everyone. I think I tipped them to win the Spoon last year, so
did I.
Very good stuff for me.
With the points per minute, the Cowboy, and he was so optimistic that they'd make the 8. But I was like, "You're crazy, bro." But he would have been surprised how they went. What a year! Crazy. It's
hard to explain. Like, I don't really know what happened. Like, everything just seemed to click. The forward pack was one of the best in the NRL. That was led by Robson, Cotter, Tamalolo. I was very critical of Chad Townsend and Tom Dearden pairing in the halves because I thought they were just too similar of a player. I was also super critical of not starting Scott Drinkwater, so I was happy that Drinky came out well. But yeah, Dearden was sensational. But probably
he's a good coach. Todd Payton, Canberra boy,
Tigers boy, Canberra boy, Tigers boy.
He was a Tigers boy.
He was a Tigers boy. Premiership winner.
Great teams. But he's a good coach. I think they did well. I think they've got a good roster. It's a good roster.
But they were headlined by former New York Jets running back Valentine Holmes. He was absolutely sensational. Having a center wing with the floor that he has with the goal kicking and the upside that he has is sensational. I am never a fan of paying top dollar for center wings with guys I don't think are keepers. And look, I don't think Val is a keeper. I think he's a guy that you will trade out. However, the Cowboys have been absolutely kissed on the dick when it comes to their draw. I think the first 8 weeks are sensational. And a lot of people are targeting Val because they want that big upside in points. 725k 80. It's a pretty penny, but you can get behind it.
I can get behind it because, you're going to take probably certain places in your team where you're taking a premium, and there's other places in your team where you're going to say, I'm going to go cut price. I personally am going cut price in the centers myself, but if you're going to treat yourself to an expensive center winger, is there anyone better with their draw to start with than Val? How did the coach know that he was going to be such a great center? He went and played like an absolute boss in Origin in the centers as well. He is, and the speed and the elusiveness, the goal kicking is sensational. I complained about him a lot for Supercoach scoring, but I'm going to want to slice a Val at some point this year, probably in finishing teams. That's how good he is. If you're going to spend up in the centers, it's him or To'o for me. And I love him.
I'm definitely getting FOMO when it comes to Val. I don't have him in my team. I think he's been in my team once, and that was just a rough draft. But yeah, not having Val is definitely scaring me because I just think he could be huge. Same with Reece Robson. I've gone away from the expensive hookers and I've gone a little bit cheaper. But Reece Robson, I think if you can't find the cash for Grant, I think the price difference between Grant and Robson isn't going to be reflective of the points difference. Do I think Grant outscores Robson? Yes. Obviously. Do I think it's enough to justify the price that they're starting with? Probably not. And I really like Robson to be the second best hooker for the first 8 to 10 weeks. 678k. He was great last year, just consistent. I don't care if Jake Granville gets named at 14. I think Robson's a big minute hooker. Even if he does get spelled, I think it's maybe for 7 to 10 minutes a game, which isn't going to be huge. If you can't find the cash for Grant, I really love the Robson pick.
Yep. If you're not going midi, you're going Robson. And if you're not going Robson, you're going to treat yourself in that area and go Grant. He is such an absolute weapon of a player. I can't believe St. George let him go. What the hell is St. George doing? He's such a great hooker. And I finished with him last year. I loved having him in my team. I've gone a little cheaper now because once I pulled Harry. But even what you can save from Harry Grant down to Reece Robson, it's a difference between getting a Garner up to a Angus Crichton.
Yeah.
That's changeable stuff in your team.
And that's the thing. When you look at it that way, if you look at it on paper and say, who's going to score more points out of Garner and Grant or Cotter and Crichton, That's the way I would look at it. I wouldn't look at it like, oh, but Grant's better than Robson. Yeah, but Crichton's just leaps and bounds better than Garner. So I would look at it in a holistic approach rather than just on face value.
Angus will score 30 more than Garner probably, and Robson might be 10 points behind Harry to start for that nice early draw. As you said, they're kissed on the dick. So if you need to make a saving somewhere, I really think you could do a hell of a lot worse than Reece Robson. And I'm not going to say a nasty word about him. He was such a great hooker. I loved the purchase. I had him last year, and I just ran home with Harry Grant and Reece Robson. I love him.
You finished with Reece Robson, a Cowboys hooker, in your squad. I also finished with a Cowboys hooker last year in my squad. Unfortunately, Reuben Cotter doesn't have that hooker duel this year, but, he was sensational. I think coming off that injury, played himself back into form at the back end of last year. NRL physio has said he's not too worried about performance from Cotter moving forward. 600.
He's got such a deep voice, Cotter, when you talk to him. He's like, oh, love it, mate. I'll just go out there and just run my guts out. I just love rugby league.
He is the definition of like a regional Queensland rugby league player, isn't he?
He's a man. He's a bloody man. Yeah. Why is he not second row forward? I mean, I think he will. I think that they'll probably go with. I think he's better at 13, so he should be second row forward, front row. Because I think Lolo he's getting into the age group where he should be in the front row. Maybe they'll change that because are they doing updates again this year every 7 rounds or whatever they do?
Yeah. I still think after 6 rounds they'll get updated. It's just weird because they were naming Lolo at 13, playing him at prop, and it would throw Cotter out. There was inconsistencies last year with the updates. They were saying Cotter was only playing because of injuries and whatnot. I don't understand. Hopefully it's a little bit more clearer this year. But at 623k, Reuben Cotter only available in front row forward. Is that a dampener, or are you still keen?
No. Well, you see, the thing is that for everyone, we lost IPAP. We've lost an IPAP. So we lost IPAP. Now we're going to have to find replacements. If it wasn't Joseph Tapine, it's going to be Cotter. It's going to be Joseph Tapine, Cotter, or Tino for me. If you want to go a premium front row, I'm not for that. I think there's too much savings in the front row. But if you're going to go a premium, surely Reece Robson's in the top 3 that you choose.
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to price, people in a similar mold, Tohu Harris, Joe Offahangawi, Josh Papali'i, I just think Reuben Cotter is so clear here. The question becomes
I think he can grow this year. I really think he was probably hampered a little bit by the injury last year. And I remember you owning him going, is Cotter a good purchase? And he was pumping out solid numbers, but then he kind of just...
Yeah, he was getting kind of frustrating because it was just 60 and that was kind of it.
It was a 60 sort of average. If he stays fit, I really think he'll average 70 plus this year.
Well, that's the thing. For 40k more, you can get Payne Haas for an extra.
I'd rather him than Payne Haas.
Okay, for an extra 80k, you get Joe Tarpany. Do you think there's 80k difference in Cotter to Tarpany?
No.
Well, there's your answer.
Their draw. If I was going to choose, if I was going in my team now and I was choosing between Tarpany or Cotter, I'd probably take Cotter because Tarpany, we just want to see can he do the replicate. Last year was pretty. We say Tommy Turbo had that year where he blitzed the Dally M. I think Tuppenny's year last year was like that.
Yeah.
He didn't. It was of that same sort of level, and I don't know if he can replicate that.
To a team.
He is talented.
Influence to a team, I'd say.
Yeah, influence to a team and just bossing the game, bossing any opposition. I don't know. Tuppeny, I think, will still kick on this year, and he is a premium front row. On the draw, I'd probably be all over Reuben Cotter to start and save the 80k. 80k can pump nicely into your team. I reckon he'll probably average at least the same as Tuppeny to start. Tuppeny will start slow like he did last year, and he built into it.
Spicy. Normally we go from guns to bums. Now this week,
I've got an in-betweener.
This episode we've got an in-betweener, and it's Jeremiah Nanai. Now I've seen him in so many sides because of the attacking up. So I'm not a fan. I'm a big believer in the second year syndrome. And I know it's his third year, but his second full season. I'm just not a fan at 660k.
Yeah, look, the thing is, they've got a nice draw, and if you think that he's going to score tries in the first 7, Nathan says to me, 8 games are going to be done. He'll probably score 8 tries.
But
That's
like
very possible.
the thing is now though, like every team knows he can score tries, so every team's just going to fucking target him, and I just don't see.
No target him. They just can't compete with him in the air. But I put a note on mine because he was an in between. Because when I had a look at him, the average was only 62.
Yeah, I think it's because obviously we went on that massive run. Like I started with him, and like I remember in the preseason, I don't want to toot my own horn, but it was Nanai or Lukey, and I was very much on the Nanai train. I just thought he was a much better footy player, and everyone was like, "No, Lukey's the better footy player." Blah blah blah. And obviously, I benefited because of Nanai's breakout. But looking at now this year, I'm just not keen. I'm just not keen for 660.
Yeah.
I'd rather.
I think Lukey is still the better player. Well, maybe not the better player, but Lukey is a bloody good player. He came before he got injured. Lukey was looking absolutely terrific. But look, I just think Jeremiah Nanai to start 659.
I'm calling him a trap.
And, Angus, who you just know is going to be 70 plus a game.
I will pull it up for you, but yeah, my bold call is Nanai will be a trap for the early period.
So are you saying he'll be under 60?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him lose 60k. For an extra 30k, you can get Crichton.
Yeah, I would absolutely go Angus.
For an extra 20k, you can get Fafita, who was shocking.
I'd prefer both of those to start. Even though it's a soft draw, like when Fafita goes large, he goes 150, and Angus will score you 70 plus every week. And I don't think Nanai is going to do that. He relies on the tries.
But the thing is, though,
that he'll get the tries.
The tries that he rely on are fucking from kicks, so he doesn't get the line break.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why his average is 62 last year.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I just think to start the year, if you're picking Nanai as your premium second row, that's where you're going your premium. That's a mistake. I just reckon you go for feeder. You get yourself a feeder. You get yourself an Angus. I'm going Cam Murray.
Jeremiah Nanai, trap. Scott Drinkwater. Scott Drinkwater, also trap. I've
got him in the bums.
I'm calling the trap.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm not keen. I'm not keen. I just think he's priced at his max. Look, last year was great because he was available at 5'8", but like, do you think people are thinking, I don't know, like I keep hearing this great draw narrative from people that are picking Cowboys, but like how many people can score points? Like not everyone can have an inflated 10-point average. I just don't see Drinkwater matching his 747 price tag. I think Teddy versus the Dolphins in round 1 is just far superior for a captaincy choice. I think Latrell over the first 6 weeks averages more. It's
a hard draw for them, but we know he's matchup proof. And the difference between Latrell and Scott Drinkwater is Latrell doesn't have really a low one in him, which Drinkwater does.
The thing with Latrell is I remember a game vividly because I captained him, and after 28 minutes he was on 12 points. At halftime he was on 132, so he scored 120 points in 12 minutes, something like that, ridiculous. And I remember back. Please, if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners out there. I remember a game where Scott Drinkwater had 4 try assists and didn't crack 100.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. And I can understand why
he was terrific last year.
Oh, don't get me wrong, but
that's why he's got the price tag.
I think the value presented at being dual, and I just don't see him matching up with the other elite fullbacks. The big sticking point, and the thing that is in his favour, is he doesn't have a bye early on, and I know a lot of the other elite fullbacks do. But I just think you are paying through the nose for a guy who's not a keeper. I'm happy to pay through the nose for Latrell. I'm happy to pay through the nose for Teddy because they're probably going to be there all season long. Yep. But Scott Drinkwater,
what fullbacks are fullbacks that you are willing to consider for round 1?
For round 1,
he's not in there. He's not in there.
No, he's not. For round 1, it's boring, but there's only 2 names.
Yeah,
and it's not Scott Drinkwater. It's just not. And I can see why. And I'm probably going to cop a lot of hate from this because he is quite highly owned amongst the hardcore players because of the draw. Look, I really want you guys to do well. I just don't think it's going to be with Scott Drinkwater in your team. What do you think? I went on a rant for about 2 minutes on Scott Drinkwater. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's just probably priced at his max. It is a soft draw, and it's not to say that Scott Drinkwater's not talented enough to match what he did last year, but he is a little flighty for a fullback. If you know what I mean, he's flighty. I mean, we're talking about Latrell, and we're saying he's not, but he was consistently 80 plus in a lot of games, and he kicks the goals. Yeah, I just think the fullbacks I'm considering are Teddy, Turbo, perhaps if he comes back healthy, and Latrell. I don't think I'm going to go there with Drinkwater. If he was there in 5'8", let's just say he was available in 5'8", I wouldn't start with him for the year, but I would target him.
Yeah. Oh, hot take. If Pap's out for a month, I'd rather just take a punt on Nick Meaney.
Yeah. Well, Meaney. I think we'll have to look at the old Melbourne Storm. I think I've got him in the bums.
Oh!
But, I've got Drinkwater in the bums just because he's high-priced. And I don't know, he's a little fleety, and I just think maybe there's a little regression. And you'll probably get him down. I can see Drinkwater getting down to 500.
Scott Drinkwater will definitely be a guy that I own throughout the buys. I can 100% see it from now, but I just don't think from round one. Nor can I see Tom Dearden, available 5'8" only. Oh, what a season he had. He comes in at 612K, but for me, he ain't no Adam Dewey. He ain't no Matt Burton. He ain't no Dylan Brown. And he ain't no Cam Munster.
No, he's not. And he was good last year at a point, wasn't he? He was probably, what everyone says when I'm with me and my girlfriend, I'm batting overs. He was batting overs last year, and he's got a bit of talent, but I think Chad Townsend was the perfect buy. We were all criticizing it, and it really unlocked him to just play with freedom. I think he'll probably play with freedom this year as well, but there's just too much you can do in the 5'8" position this year. I don't think Dewey's too much more expensive. I think Dewey might have found his way into my team. So, I think there's better options to start the year. Isn't it weird that we're like poo-pooing so many Cowboys?
But we love them. We didn't say where we didn't say where they're going to finish. You've got them in 4th. I've got them in 6th. So
you've got them in 6th. I've got them in 4th. I think they actually had some injury troubles last year with Reuben Cotter. Lolo wasn't in every game. They lost they got ACLs. How is Luciano going to get back in that?
Because honestly, if Luciano was available from round 1, it would be in my side. No question about it. But I'm just not too sure.
Oh, you love a bit of Luch.
Oh, I love Luch. Hey, talk to me about Jason Tamalolo, because you've got him as a bum. I'm very much indifferent. I just don't care about Lolo anymore. I miss 2018, 2019 Jason Tamalolo.
Yeah, he's not as damaging. I think the torch has been passed to these Reuben Cotters, these Nanais, these Lukies, and if Luch gets his way back into the team, I think Lolo now as an elder statesman, I think he's more propish, don't you reckon? He runs fast. He's got great footwork late at the line. I reckon he suits being a front rower. Personally, that's my opinion. I reckon Cotter's got a bit of ball play in him from his hooker days, and I reckon he's more of a front rower. Look, I owned Lolo last year, and he was good. I think he had to take his minutes went all over the place, didn't he? When he was needed, he stood up, and when he wasn't needed, he dropped right back. And I feel like if all of them go in fit to start the year, maybe aka Josh Papali'i for the Raiders, he just takes a backward step when he can and conserves himself for the big games. And then they showed that they would do that with him. So he is so unreliable as a pick now, because they will rest him. They will sit him when they can.
Oh, because he can be so damaging in short spells. And Todd Payton does keep him on ice while the likes of Reuben Cotter just churn through work all game. So with the back rowers for the Cowboys, Luciano, who knows what's happening. Helam Lukey is not going to be ready for the first 5-6 weeks. What's going to happen with Cohen Hess? Is he going to play edge? Hey, Jack Gasecki. I don't think I ever thought I'd be. I don't think I'd ever be talking about the Goz. But little stat for you: when he has played over 60 minutes, averages a handy 50 points a game. Now, look, not setting the world on fire, Big Jack, but if we can get 50 points a game out of a bloke at 240K. Hey, you could do worse things. I'm not saying he's going to start, but if he did manage to jag the edge for a month or 6 weeks, if Luciano stood down or Lukey's still recovering, you could do worse than Jack Goz.
Yeah, well, see, that's my thing. I've got him in there. You have to put him in there because they've got Lukey out, Luciano's out. if they just picked him to start and in the second row, he probably gets enough minutes for him to be better than if you've got Ray Stone in your team. The Goz is better if he starts.
I would also back that. I would back Goz over Ray Stone if he started.
If he started. So if he's a benchy, don't touch him because I don't think there's enough minutes there. Probably. But I think it might be some of the names I've mentioned there in the bounce backs because they have got some talented players. But strange things have happened. And if he does run out in round one in the second row, I could dump a Ray Stone type player for him because he's just like, all right, well, they've gone with the Goz.
All in on the Goz.
Yeah, he could be at 50 minutes. And maybe we get him up to 400. Look, he's at the right price. If you can start, like we all love Hopgood because he's a starter, we think, in the 13 at that price. So if someone starts, we said don't be obsessed with starts and bench. But if you run on in that team, I think there's going to be a lot of middles moving around, and the edge back rowers are probably going to get pretty good minutes.
We've touched on Lukey, not an option for the first couple of weeks, but talented footy player. 451k will probably drop in price a little bit. If he picks up form, could get a start to be in our sides for the back end. Murray Taulagi, I'm a huge fan of this. I just think that if you do want a piece of the Cowboys backline and you don't have the money, I think Taulagi could be that guy. Just had flashes of brilliance last year. I owned him in draft and was just a consistent 50-point scorer. You're just banking on the fact that he's going to have an uptick in performance, but 578k. I think I'd be happy to gamble on that with the draw.
I like him. I've liked him since his first game. I really have. I've talked to other people and they're like, oh yeah, he looks the likely customer. I think he's grown. He's played a bit of rep footy now as well with his country. I think that this year he could be a real target for them. Like he's relatively tall. He's a big body. I'm not saying Tupu sort of height, but I think physically he's an who was it from the Knights that's come on, that winger?
Greg Marzou, Dom Young.
Oh yeah, Dom Young. He's in that same sort of Dom Young shape.
Yeah, just a big ball runner, big body. Big physical,
body.
So, big physical kid.
I like him. If you can't afford a Val and you want to, people are going to want to slice the Cowboys.
I love Taulagi.
You can do a hell of a lot worse than Murray Taulagi.
And we'll quickly touch on Griffin Neame. Front row forward, 368k. I think he's progressing really, really well. I think he's looks really, really good. He looks like your typical North Queensland front row forward. Just plugs through work. I expect Griffin Neame to become a household name at the end of the season. Really, really like him.
Yeah, I'm the same. He's just a good, honest footy player who gives it his all when he goes out there. And he wrestles in every tackle, and he never sort of drops off a tackle. He's a hard worker. I really like him. I don't know if you can find three, you wouldn't start him as your
he's not finding a way into my side, but if anything happens and he does pick up minutes, definitely he's I don't know, reminds me of Tom Flegler a little bit.
Yeah, he's a more normal, non-psychotic Tom Flegler.
Yes. Well, that's going to wrap up the mighty North Queensland Cowboys. Tomorrow, we are going to bring you the Melbourne Storm headlined by a big foursome in the gun category. I'm sure you guys know who we're talking about, but we'll uncover those.
Eliminated by the Raiders last year, by the way, just to let you know. They're our bunnies.
We'll uncover those guns. There's also a few sneaky little mid-range options we can touch on with the Storm. But sit tight. Tomorrow we'll be back to discuss all them, if I can speak. Ado, we'll speak then.
No worries. Love you guys. See you soon.
Bye.